Hello, it's time to do alligators. We finished our introduction to alligators and crocodiles. Now we're only going to talk about alligators for tonight and maybe next week also. Adult alligators range between 13 feet long and 18 feet long. That is very long. And the ones that live in the Florida Everglades, so they dig what's called gator holes. And those gator holes are very important because when the dry season comes, those holes still have plenty of water in them. And that water they need. And this is a picture of a pretty fearsome looking alligator. Those water holes provide a vital water supply that keeps the alligators and many other animals alive. They're cool places where they can hide during the heat of the day. Now, Hashem designed alligators with a number of ways to protect them. If anything brushes against the inside of their jaws, automatically their jaws snap shut, which is a very good way for them to find food to eat without their even seeing where the prey is, or if anything comes to attack them. Those snap of the jaws happens. Also, they're designed in their nostrils of their nose, their snout, they have valves that can close when they go underwater. They have ear coverings also they can close underwater. And what happens if they're in the water and they bump into a log? So automatically their eyes sink into their skull to protect the eyes. Also, they automatically close their eyes just before they bite their prey, in case their prey is snapping out with its claws or something, and so that'll protect their eyes again. Now, every day in normal weather they have a certain routine where they go out of the water and they're back in the water at different times to keep cool. They shouldn't be too hot, they shouldn't be too cold, and that's what they do. If they disturb anybody, they also go right into the water. Now we have two pictures on this page. The top one has two animals. One is a crocodile, the American crocodile, and the other one is the American alligator. And you can see from the shape of their snouts which one's which. The one with the narrow snout is the crocodile, and the broad snout, the wide snout, is the alligator. The bottom picture is a picture of an alligator sitting on the side of the river or the stream, whatever, and his mouth is wide open because he's cooling off. That's how he cools off. Now, an alligator can survive even under a layer of ice as long as he can keep a breathing hole open. Of all the crocodilians, only the alligator can stay active at temperatures as low as 54 degrees Fahrenheit. The other ones cannot. They can't even move. But what happens is when it is that cold, they can't eat because the temperature is too low for their digestion system to work. In winter, when it is cold, they'll retreat into their dens and they become rather sleepy because their blood cools and slows them down. In the breeding season, males and females make loud bellowing noises. The males bellow very loudly for two purposes. One is to warn all other males in the area to stay out of his territory. And the other reason is to let all the females around to know where he is. And each alligator, believe it or not, has a different voice. So they all have a different bellowing sound. And the sound carries for a long way in the swamps. Now, once an alligator starts to bellow, other alligators may join in, and it becomes like a whole chorus, a half an hour of all this loud bellowing. This is good because instead of fighting each other physically and hurting each other, they can usually figure out whose territory is whose by who can yell the loudest, who can bellow the loudest. On the other hand, if the bellowing by itself doesn't do the job, then they will fight each other. And the biggest and the strongest usually wins the best territories. Now, to look scarier, the male will puff up his body with air to look bigger and more threatening. And then it lets out the air quickly to make a hissing sound. If the enemy is still not scared away, then the alligator will attack. Females do not have territories. Instead, they visit the territories of the males. Now, on this page, we have two pictures. We have a picture of a mother alligator sitting on her nest, looking very protective of it, and a very small picture on the bottom of a Chinese alligator. It's a little hatchling. It's the only picture I could find of a Chinese alligator. Okay. Now, the male attracts the female. Besides all his bellowing, he also has a special gland, they're called musk glands, and they give out a very strong, sweet smell. I think actually people make perfume out of it. And the alligators will build their nests above the ground, and they make their nests out of sand and soil and leaves and branches. And then in the middle, she'll make a hole and line it with mud. Then she shapes it into a mound around 6 feet wide and about 3 feet high. And she'll lay between 20 and 70 eggs. She'll cover up those eggs. And as the leaves and the branches rot, they'll give off enough heat to keep the eggs warm. The mother stays near the nest site while the eggs develop, protecting them from raccoons and other predators. In about 60 or 70 days, that's about 2 months, they will begin to hatch. And the mother helps them by digging them out of the nest, and she'll carry them to the water. And sometimes there are hatchlings that have difficulty getting out of the egg shell. She will gently crack them open with her teeth, with her massive teeth. She'll do it very gently so she doesn't hurt them, and she'll get them out, send them there, get them their freedom from the egg. And she will remain with her young for months, and sometimes even for years. When they are hatching, when they're in the middle of hatching, they didn't get out yet, the hatchlings make a high-pitched squeak, or croak, whatever. And that's a signal to the mother that she should come and tear open the nest, so it's easier for them to get out and back to the water, or to the water. Now, when they're born, they're about 8 inches long, and they're totally independent. They go straight to the water, and they will eat whatever they can find that they can fit into their mouth, little insects mostly at that age. So we have 3 pictures here. The top picture is some little hatchlings that just came out of their eggs, and they're going to go straight to the water. Second picture shows a picture of the mother that just cracked open an egg, and the baby hatchling is climbing out of her mouth. And the bottom picture is that the mother alligator could tell that there was no life in this egg, so she just ate it. Now, a baby alligator, when it's born, it already has a full set of 80 teeth. Okay, now what else did I want to say? The alligators provide benefits for the whole community of animals around it, because, first of all, his droppings fertilize excuse me. His droppings fertilize the water, and they add to its fertility, so the plants can grow better. And also, when he drags himself in and out of the water, he makes a path. And by making that path, and those paths back and forth, he opens it up and keeps it from eventually closing up to be a marsh. He keeps it as an open pond, which is better for the other animals. And during droughts, when there's very little rain, the alligator holes they help the other animal species from being wiped out. Sometimes the marsh will totally dry out, and everything that's living in it will just drown in the mud. They'll die in the hot mud. But in the water, in the gator holes, They go there, they can stay alive. Now, old alligator nests provide nesting sites also for turtles. And in the Everglades, the alligator helps by eating the spotted garfish, which he wouldn't eat them. There'd be so many of them, and they eat very valuable fish that people like to eat, like bass and bream. Okay, we have 3 pictures on this page I'm going to show you. The top picture shows a little baby hatchling, 2 of them actually, sitting on the mother's head, getting a ride in the swamp. The bottom picture shows the alligator's pimples. It has special pimples on his jaw, which we'll talk about, I don't know if tonight, maybe next week. And the small picture shows a lady selling very expensive alligator or crocodile pocketbooks, which sell for thousands of dollars. Okay, I think we'll stop here and we'll finish alligators next week. Yes. Have a good Shabbos, a good Yom Tov, a good Kabbalah's Torah.